Hello dear students, this lecture is again in continuation with the previous lectures. So we were discussing about data compression algorithms. In this lecture also we will continue with the data compression algorithms and we will talk about transformation compression techniques. In last two lectures we have mainly discussed about direct data compression techniques, and in this lecture we will discuss about the transformation compression techniques. Transformation techniques are also the lossy class of algorithms, as they also retain the important features of the signal, and while it will discard the features which are not important. This transformation method is also known as transform coding. Compared to the direct data compression, most of these techniques are used in VCG, or we can say multi-lead ECG compression. These techniques involve linear orthogonal transformations that transform the signal samples into a different domain where they are properly compressed. Therefore, we are calling these techniques as transformation compression. As the signal is in the form, or we can say in transform domain, therefore an inverse transform is required to recover the original signal. So first in this we will talk about Karhunen-Loew transform, KLT. This transform turns out to be optimal among various other discrete transforms like Fourier, cosine, Haar, Walsh transforms, in the sense that the least number of orthogonal functions is required to represent the input signal for a given root mean square, that is RMS error. Also, this transform decorrelates the transform coefficients and minimizes the total entropy. The key to obtain data compression in this is signal representation, which concerns the representation of a given class or classes in an efficient manner. If a discrete signal comprises of n samples, then it can be thought of as being a point in an n-dimensional space. Each sample value is a component of the data n vector x that represents a discrete signal in this space. For an efficient representation of capital X, it is required to obtain an orthogonal transform of x such that we can say y is equal to tx, where y denotes the transform vector and t represents the transformation matrix. So to achieve the data compression, it is necessary to select a subset of m components of y where m is substantially less than n. That is, the balance of m minus n components may be discarded without introducing any major error when the signal is reconstructed using the saved m components of the vector y. And to quantify the error approximation, an error criteria, that is mean square error, is needed. Now we have to search for the optimal transform. So let T be an optimal transform, and what is the optimality condition? That we want this minimum mean square error. So what can be the, you can see in equation number 1 we have chosen T as a transform with the vectors phi 1, phi 2 up to phi n. So these phi n are n vectors. Now it is assumed that the bases of vectors phi's are real, valued as well as orthonormal. So we can say that phi I transpose phi j is equal to 1 if I is equal to j, and if it is not equal, means if I is not equal to j, it will be 0. Now let's suppose an x be an n-dimensional random vector given by equation x equal to ty, or equivalently we can say that capital X is nothing but summation I is equal to 1 to n yi phi I, where capital X is again the vector and capital Y is also a vector of n components. Now, as we know that T is an orthonormal matrix, it follows that yi is equal to phi I transpose into X, where I is running from 1 to n. Now X is a random vector and T is an orthonormal, or we can say deterministic matrix. It follows that Y is also a random vector. Thus, each component of Y is a feature which contributes to represent the observed vector X. Now to retain a subset, that is y2, ym, y1, y2, ym of the components of vector Y, and we have to estimate the vector X. This can be done by replacing the balance of n minus m components of Y by pre-selected constants, let's suppose bi, where I is now from m plus 1 to n, to obtain x cap m, which denotes the estimate of m. It is equal to summation I is equal to 1 to m yi phi I plus summation I is equal to m plus 1 to n bi phi I. Now the error. So the error introduced due to these discarding of n minus m terms now can be represented by the equation delta x, that is x minus xm cap, where this delta x is now the error vector. So delta x we can compute as x minus summation I is equal to 1 to m phi I yi minus summation I is equal to m plus 1 to n bi phi I. From equation 3, as we have seen x is equal to ty, so we can write now T is a matrix of transformation matrix and y is a vector of m components, so we can keep phi 1 to phi n, phi 1 to ym, that is summation I is equal to 1 to n yi phi I. So from equation 10, 11, if we substitute in delta x, you will get x as summation I is equal to 1 m plus 1 to n yi phi I minus summation I is equal to 1 m plus 1 to m, n bi phi I, that will be equal to summation I is equal to m plus 1 to n. We can write now yi minus bi into phi I. So here xm cap and delta x both are the random vectors. Now further, to achieve the optimality condition, the mean square error magnitude as a criteria to measure the effectiveness of the subset of M features, thus we can say this mean square error can be computed as the expectation of delta x bar and delta x. So it can be computed as you can see in equation 13, expectation summation I is equal to m plus 1 to n, j is equal to m plus 1 to n. So you have yi minus bi into yj minus b phi I dash or transpose into phi j. So here E, as we know, that is a expectation operator. Now as we know that this T is an orthogonal matrix, so phi I transpose phi j will be equal to 1, as we have already seen, when I is equal to j, and it is 0 if I is not equal to j. So it follows that the mean square error is equal to expectation summation I is equal to m plus 1 to n yi minus bi whole square. So this equation can be again written as, we can change the operators, we can take in the expectation operator and we can take out the summation, so it will become summation I is equal to m plus 1 to n expectation of yi minus bi whole square. Now it is required to choose the value of phi I and bi in such a manner that it should minimize the error. So the process of choosing this phi i's and bi's is carried out in two stages. So step 1 is to determine optimum bi's, that by using the differentiation of equation number 16, and we have to set it equal to 0. So that will give differentiation curly by curly bi of expectation yi minus pi whole square, that should be equal to 0 for I running from m plus 1 to n. So it follows that by differentiation of that, so it will be minus 2e expectation yi minus bi, that should be 0, and from this we can say that bi's are nothing but e, or we can say expectation of vi. So we can replace those yi's which we do not calculate by their expected values. So from equation 17 we can write now bi as expectation phi i's into x, or we can write phi I is ax. So this may be written as, using equation 17 and 19, summation I is equal to m plus 1 to n expectation yi minus bi whole square equal to summation I as m plus 1 to n expectation phi I transpose x minus expectation of yi whole square. Now consider the right hand side of equation 21. So if you open this equation, you can check the equation number 22. So we can write here, if you see this expectation yi, I can write it as expectation phi I transpose into x. So this may be further written as, you can see I is equal to m plus 1 to n phi I transpose expectation x minus e x, and then expectation x minus into x minus e expectation transpose into phi I. So it can be further written as I equal to m plus 1 to n phi I transpose m I phi I. So here mi is nothing but this term what we have taken, expectation x minus e x and into x minus e x transpose, that is nothing but we are representing it with mi, and we are saying that it is a covariance matrix of the random vector x. Thus this mean square error can be written as summation I equal to m plus 1 to n phi I transpose mx into phi I. So mx is nothing but the covariance matrix of random vector x, and it is given as you can see in equation number 25. Now another step is to determine optimum phi. So first was to determine optimum bi's, now it is to determine optimum phi i's. We need to minimize this mean square error with respect to phi's now, but at the same time it must satisfy the constraint that phi I transpose into phi I is equal to 1. So in this, Lagrange multiple method is used to minimize mean square error. Thus you can see mean square error minus summation I equal to m plus 1 to n lambda I. Here lambda i's are the Lagrange multiples into phi I transpose phi I minus 1. So using these equation 26 and 27, we can write this mean square error again, summation I equal to m plus 1 to n. Now this is depending upon phi. So phi I transpose mx phi I minus lambda I into phi I transpose phi I minus 1. So to minimize this mean square, we have to differentiate now with respect to phi. So we can keep with respect to phi, where you can see we can write in both ways, equation 29 and 30. So after differentiation, again we have to keep it equal to 0, and you will get this equation 31, or we can write as 32 in terms of Lagrange multiples. So equation 31 says curly by curly phi I, that is phi I transpose mx phi I, that is equal to 2 times of the covariance matrix into phi I. So now if we substitute 31 and 32 in equation 30, so finally we will get this minimization of mean square error, that is equal to 2 mx phi I minus 2 lambda I phi I. So these are the covariance matrix and the Lagrange multiple, both we are using in this. So for a minimum, as I mentioned, this should be 0, And if it is 0, that means this mx phi I will be equal to lambda I phi I. So here we can say that phi I is nothing but the eigenvector of the matrix mx with the eigenvalue lambda I. So substitution of 34 and 35 equation yields the minimum mean square error. So that will be summation I is equal to m plus 1 to n lambda I. And the expression of random vector x can be again written as summation I equal to 1 to n yi phi I, that is nothing but the Kaihonen-Loew transform. Now what are the features of this method? So in the case of mainly the pattern recognition, the coefficients y1, y2 up to yn are considered as features representing the observed vector x. So the importance and the effectiveness of each feature in terms of representing x is determined by its corresponding eigenvalue. If a particular feature, say we can say yj, is deleted, then the mean square error increases by lambda I, as you can see in equation 36. So thus, it is clear that the features with the smallest eigenvalue should be deleted first, and so on. And if the eigenvalues are indexed in their decreasing order of importance, as we can say lambda 1 is greater than lambda 2, so on, that is greater than 0, then the feature should be ordered in the same manner. The features are mutually uncorrelated, and this follows that y is equal to t transpose x, where, as I mentioned, this dash sign represents the transpose. Now the covariance matrix My of y is given by the equation expectation y to transpose is equal to expectation t transpose x, x transpose t. Here we have just substituted the value of y, that is t transpose x, that is kind of inverse. So we can again write it as t transpose expectation x, x transpose into the transformation matrix. But as we know that expectation x and x transpose is nothing but the covariance matrix, that is equal to mx of random vector x, and T is the matrix of eigenvectors of covariance matrix. So this is also known as the model matrix. Further, if any arbitrary matrix is both the post and pre-multiplied by the model and inverse model matrix, then it is diagonalized. Accordingly, you can see this model matrix we can write in terms of these eigenvectors. So model matrix for y is nothing but the lambda 1, lambda 2 as a diagonal element. So it is a diagonal matrix. Therefore, these we can say the features y1, y2 up to yn, these are all uncorrelated. Now let's see one illustration of this. So this figure shows an ECG waveform taken from a sequence of 200 of a particular person, or we can say a subject. So considering only first 6 of the sequence, each waveform comprises of 256 sampled values, and we have to compute the covariance matrix of each of the waveforms and then determine the expected value of these covariance matrices. The eigenvalues and the eigenvectors of the matrix are then we compute next. The 16 dominant eigenvalues of the expected value of the covariance matrix, as you can see, are shown in these figures. These are, as you can see, in the decreasing order. So only 3 eigenvectors that correspond to the 3 dominant eigenvalues are shown in this figure. For each of the 6 ECGs, we compute only 3 YEs are there. Each ECG waveform has 256 points, as you can see here. So each has the 256 points, and these are the 3 eigenvectors. Y-axis represent the amplitude and x-axis represent the sample value. So we have 256 points. Now the reconstructed waveform corresponding to the first cycle, as you can see in this, this is original waveform corresponding to first cycle, and if we reconstruct this given by using this equation of eigenvectors, 3 eigenvectors we have considered, so xm, cap is equal to y1 phi 1 plus y2 phi 2 plus y3 phi 3 is shown in this figure B. Note that with only 3 ECG eigenvectors phi 1, phi 2, phi 3 and 3 features y1, y2, y3, we are able to reconstruct the original signal of the waveform with fairly good accuracy, as you can see in this in figure number C. So figure E is as I mentioned, figure A is the original waveform, figure B is the reconstructed waveform, and figure C is the superposition of the waveform along with the error in reconstruction. So this is dotted. If you see, that represents the error. So the data compression achieved is computed as, let's suppose we have the number of eigenvectors to be transmitted as small l, then the number of features transmitted is also L. So let's suppose the number of sample values of the waveform be P, and let the number of waveforms to be transmitted is N. Then the data compression will be N cross P divided by L cross P plus L cross N. So we can write it as N cross B by L times of P plus N. In general, these N and P are very large compared to L, so large compression ratio can be expected using these techniques. And the major shortcoming of this is that it is computationally very intensive. Now let's discuss about another method, that is data compression by differential pulse chord modulation, DPCM. It involves taking the difference between a given sample and its predicted value, and the difference in value is then quantized and transmitted or stored. This is a block diagram of this model. So we have a sampler, a quantization we are doing, and this is a predictor we are using. Then we are transmitting using this channel, and further we are using a predictor and a filter. So the predicted value is obtained from the previous predicted values and differences, and it is also available at the receiver mainly for the reconstruction purposes. So what receiver will do? The receiver will add this predicted value to the received quantized difference to produce an approximation of the original sample. Now let's discuss about the operation of this DPCM in little much more detail using our unit delay predictor. So consider an input sequence, let's suppose 1 3 1 1 1 1 1, and we have to first determine the encoder output of the system as the sequence progresses. So let's suppose first consider the situation at t equal to 0 when the input to the system is 1. The output of the system at this instant is also 1, while the state of the system, as you can see, is shown in figure A. Now the state of the system at t equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is shown, we will see in next figure. It is shown in B, C, D, E, F, G respectively. You can see this is for a state at time t equal to 1, time t equal to 2. So output sequence you can predict out of this, it will be 1, 2, minus 2, 0, 0, 0, 0. So these are the output sequence we received. So from the input output sequence, it can be observed that only zeros are transmitted at t equal to 4, 5, 6 and 7, indicating the inherent compression capability of this system, that is, the output differences occupy typically fewer quantization levels than the original input samples. In general, the variance of the estimation error signal is smaller than the variance of the original signal, assuming that the correlation of input signal is high and the estimation coefficients are correctly chosen. The main source of error in this method is quantization of the error signal, that is the residual. So this is all in this lecture, and this is the end of data compression. For the topics, you can refer to the book by D.C. Reddy, that is Biomedical Signal Processing Principles and Techniques by Tata McGraw-Hill. So for now, thank you so much.